What's going on, guys? Welcome back to part 3 of this YZ250 build. We're going to be doing a top end on this motor and trying to make it look new. So let's begin by getting this head off of the motor. I'm loosening the bolts in a crisscross pattern to relieve unwanted pressure that could potentially warp this head. Go ahead and get this old O-ring out of here. Looking at the cylinder, it looks pretty good. There's not any gouges or anything, and there's a good crosshatch pattern. Let's move on to getting the cylinder off. To get this cylinder off, we need to get this cover out of here and undo this linkage. It's only held on by this one bolt in the middle, and it comes right off. Okay, holding the cylinder on, there's 4 bolts, and they're really, really tight. You really have to smack the crap out of them. You're going to want to take these off in a crisscross pattern too. So you can't get a ratchet on these lower ones, but just use a box inch of a wrench and a hammer. I just sprayed a little degreaser down by the base of the cylinder so nothing will fall down in the motor when I take it off. These cylinders can be pretty stubborn, especially if you have one that someone used a bunch of liquid gasket on. A few good taps of the hammer to loosen it up should get it right off. There's the inside of the motor. The piston doesn't look too bad, and this lifter arm is a YZ250, so I think it was replaced recently. It doesn't have any play up and down. It has a little bit to the sides, which is normal, but I think I got pretty lucky here. Once you have the cylinder off, it's a good idea to stuff some paper towels down here so you don't drop anything in the motor and have to fish it out with a magnet. To get the piston off, we just got to get this clip out of here. The collar just slides out, and then you lift the piston off. Don't forget about the old bearing. Look how disgusting this valve is. We're definitely going to have to get this all cleaned up. We'll go ahead and pop these reeds out. I think I'm going to still run these ones. They didn't seem too bad. Here the cylinder is, all disgusting. And here it is shined up, deglazed, and ready to be installed. Here's the YZ250 top end kit. It comes with bearings, seals, and forget about those Crown Royal bags in your car that holds change. You need a YZ250 piston bag. We need to check the ring end gap before we install this piston to make sure it's in spec. So you just put it in the bottom of the cylinder and push it up a little bit with the piston. For this particular bike, it's between 0.55 millimeters to 0.75 millimeters. So I could get the 50 to fit and the 60 to fit, but I couldn't get the 70 to fit, so we're in spec. So now we just got to put it all back together. Apply a little premix in here before you put the bearing in, just so it has a little bit of lubrication when you first start it up. The piston has an arrow on the top of it pointing towards the exhaust port. Make sure you install it like that. You want to install one of those clips on one side of the piston before you slide in this collar. That way you just have to pop in one. And this is probably the hardest part, but just be careful and try not to scratch up the piston too bad and just kind of roll it in. You'll eventually get it. And just put the piston rings in. You can do this when the piston's off, but I kind of forgot, but it's no big deal. Just pop them into the little edges they go in. So get your paper towels out of the way, all the little debris, and get your gasket on and get ready to put your cylinder on. So the piston has these little marks where you want to squeeze the rings to. Make sure they're all lined up and squeezed right there, and just slide it over. It's pretty easy. Put a little bit of premix on the cylinder too to lube it up for, the few seconds when you first start it out. Just like that, it's back on. So with the bolts, you want to do the crisscross pattern again. I'm not showing the other side because the camera wasn't set up over there, but I would tighten one and then I would go to the diagonal from it and tighten that one and just slowly tighten. You don't want to tighten one all the way and then move to one and start tightening it. Just slowly torque them down all at the same time. Get ready to install your new cylinder head. The kit came with new O-rings, so just put those in place. Put some copper crush washers down. And it's going to be the same thing, just like you're putting on a wheel, cross hatch. I came back after this and torqued them all down to spec. Just look in your bike's manual and it will tell you, how many foot-pounds you should tighten everything down to. So let's start making this thing look better. We'll get rid of these plastic covers that Yamaha for some reason used and put a real cover on. Same thing for the clutch side. These clutch covers come with pretty nice gaskets, so we'll just use that. The last Yahoo that had this bike just used a liquid gasket sealer everywhere, and it made a huge mess. Let's go ahead and put our new sprocket on too. So just take an adjustable wrench, a pretty big one, and hit it really, really hard with a hammer, and it should pop loose. If you try to do it slowly, it will just turn the motor over, but just one good hit with a hammer, it should come loose. Our new sprocket didn't want to seat all the way, so I just used the nut and tightened it up until the thing was seated, and then I put that crush washer back on. And just bend the tab over the nut so it doesn't come loose. I wish I had a new one to use, but I'll just use this old one, it's fine. So here's the linkage. I reinstalled it, but I'm not sure if something's missing. Is there supposed to be like a dowel here? I couldn't find anything online or anything like that, but if you know, just leave a comment and that will help me out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm gonna have a new video dropping in a few days, so stay tuned.